Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Power Apps Learning. In yesterday's class, we discussed about Power App farms and gallery controls. Today, also, we will again discuss on the same topics with uh, some other properties like farm on farm success and failure property we have missed yesterday. Along with that, gallery filters, and also we will discuss about flexible height gallery with additional filters. Okay. Okay, in yesterday's class we discussed all about the farm control. Let me continue with two more very important controls on the farm. They are farm on success and farm on failure. So in the so when you see a farm, the farm has two two other properties called on success and on failure. On success, on failure. So where this property is most useful is when it comes to as and when the farm submitted successfully. If I want to say a message to user that hey, record added successfully, or if the record is not added successfully, is there any technical challenge on that? That time also we need this on failure. Okay, so when it comes to that, go to this property on success. We can set the last submitted record to a variable, and on failure you can use the notify stating that sorry, the record was not added to database, please verify, followed by it is an error, and I'm giving 2000, which means I want to see this notification message for 2 seconds. Okay, so I repeat, on success I am capturing that recently submitted record, and on failure I'm showing a message as sorry, the record was not added. This way what happens is user will know what operation took place and what operation did not go through. Also, on the success I can do more than one operation. Like I can even send a message, or show a notification similar to on failure. I can show a notification on success stating that record added successfully, and this one is a success message, so we will say success message like that. So this way I can submit a record, and I can also show a notification back to the user stating that it is added successfully. On the failure I can show failure message. This is one property we have missed yesterday's in yesterday's class, right? Also, if you try to remember, we had a issue that the farm is not converting into edit mode, view mode appropriately, right? The reason behind that is once we submit the farm, we were associating immediately here. That was a mistake. Once the farm is submitted on success, once the farm is successfully submitted, that is when we need to update, or we need to get the latest uh, record submitted. So on the success only we should do it. After that, if we go on to the farm default mode, we will use that recently submitted record variable. If the recently submitted record variable is blank, then we will consider that it is still a new form. If it is not blank and I have a record ID there, then we will convert that to view. So this way I can convert my farm view. Okay. Any questions? Yesterday we discussed with the two screens. Today I wanted to show you a single farm, how we can convert in three different modes, because I don't want to feed everything in one day. Yesterday we discussed the same concept with two farms, two screens. On screen one we performed the data operation, screen two we performed view and edit, isn't it? Now let's go ahead and validate. Also, yesterday we experienced an issue that we were not able to submit if we say website value as www.google.com. There is a standard in SharePoint that it expect the website URL to be preceded with HTTPS. That was the validation it is expecting. Now, sample uh, record employee ID 123456 and followed by this sample rec at gmail.com about sample rec. Here I'll say .google.com. Salary is say like 40K and this record value is true, and followed by Krishna. There it is. Now notice what happens when I click on submit. See that I got a message stating that record added successfully, and also my farm turned to view mode, right? This is what we wanted to do. Farms are very powerful controls in Canvas apps. Also, we should use farm as a reusable control in Power Apps, Canvas apps. If you do not use, you will end up creating multiple screens with the same set of controls on the app, which in turn increase the number of controls on the app. What does that exactly means is Microsoft clearly says that when you are creating an app with Canvas app, ensure that you are not loading your app with many controls. Try to restrict your app with the maximum of 500 controls. I repeat, Canvas app, Microsoft advise the developer to restrict or to manage your app with minimum number of controls. That minimum, what Microsoft is advising is of 500 controls. Is the 500 controls is the hard cut? Absolutely not. But when you start adding too many screens with too many controls, the performance of the app will go slowly down, which is something what we are not happy with, isn't it? So when we are performing a data operation for a particular table, it is always recommended to use the farm wisely with all three modes. Any questions? Now let us see whether the record got added into backend database or not. Now when I come here and sort the data with descending order of the ID. Oh, I am in the wrong place. Sample record. and I see the record added successfully, isn't it? Just to avoid the confusion, I just deleted those two. Okay, now what is the third mode? Edit mode. So to implement that edit mode, I'm going to add a pencil icon on the farm, sorry, on the screen. Here it is. Always remember, when you add a control onto the screen, when you add an icon onto the screen, it comes with the default height and width. You are absolutely free to play with the dimensions of that control. Say like now I want to change this control as 45 by 45, and I just want to move this control little down so that it looks decent on the screen. Okay. Now, when user click on this pencil icon, my intention is to convert this very same form to edit mode. How I can do that is, on select of this edit icon, I am going to set another variable stating that update context, say lvar edit flag, edit rick, edit record. Notice the way how I am creating the variable. I strictly follow the camel sensitive. If you notice, L is a small case, V is uppercase, E is uppercase, R is uppercase. That is the good practice when you are creating variables, when you are creating a control. Okay, you should always create with the camel sensitive. Trust me, when you come into IT and if you start doing like this, your manager or your tech lead will get impressed and he will lose his mind. Oh my goodness, though they are freshers, they are following the standards. Is that what not we want? Okay, now this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I am converting, I'm tilting the same value with negation. Exclamation is to negate. If it is true, convert to false, false to true. Okay. When I click for the first time, if it is false, it will turn to true. If it is true, it will turn to false. Let us see how that will show here. For any variable, when you create it as a flag variable or a toggle variable, the default value is false. Okay. Now notice the behavior. When I click on that, it turned to true. When I click again, turn to false. Notice that it is same value I am toggling. I'm simply just toggling, right? But notice that if a user has the icon as pencil, it is confusing the user, right? When I'm, if it is the same value, why it is turning? It should not be like that, right? But again, remember, we should not flood or we should not dump our app with mini controls. Now, I want to use the very same icon and change the behavior of the icon from edit to cancel and cancel to edit, depends on the value of my variable. Now see, icon is here. I can change my icon in such a way that if my flag is true, show cancel. If the flag is false, show pencil. Now see that. If alvar edit record is true, what I have to do? I have to show cancel. Now see that icon dot cancel. If it is false, then I want to show the pencil. Notice that when I am editing my record, I should be able to cancel my operation, wasn't it? So now when I click on the cancel, it is turning back to pencil. If I click on the pencil, it is turning back to cancel. Was that clear? Now we know the control is changing appropriately. What else we need to change? We need to change the form as per my flag, right? Now go to the mode of the farm. Here we are operating with LWAR submitted record. Recently submitted record is turning my form to new to view and view to new. But in case if user is editing, what has to be done? It should be, if I should not have my LWAR submit record as blank. I have to have a record in that. Up on that, if LWAR edit record is true, then what is the mode? Farm mode to be edit. If not, my farm mode is view, isn't it? First step, I am checking, do I have my recently submitted record? Then it validates how I need to render my form. If the flag is true, user is expecting or user is willing to change the data and need to convert the form into edit mode. And if the edit flag is false, then it has to convert into view. If the last submitted record itself is blank, show the form in new mode. Now if you notice, it got converted to edit mode. Now if I just cancel that, automatically to view, because my edit flag is false, which is what we see here. Clear? Now if I just convert this, say -1 and say submit, boom, it got updated. But notice, though it is updated, my farm is still in the edit mode. It shouldn't be like that, right? It should go back to view mode once the record is submitted. What we need to do, once the farm is submitted, we need to tilt the variable back, wasn't it? Whatever the code I have, that very same code I need to copy here, right? See what happens now when I say -2 submit, boom, record submitted, and also it shows as the farm in edit mode. But notice another mistake here. When I am updating the record, the notification is showing as item added successfully. But that is not right, right? If it is update, it has to show item updated successfully, wasn't it? Now see this. When I am updating, item added successfully. That's a wrong notification we are showing there. So to address that, what we need to do, go to farm on success, because that message we are showing on success, isn't it? Now on success, we need to again validate if LWAR edit record is true, then what is the message we need to show? Record updated successfully, isn't it? If my edit flag is true, the record is in edit mode, so the message has to say as edited successfully. Now say this, before submit. Why the hell? Oh, my bad. This is, I am immediately converting. Once it is submitted, immediately we are tilting, right? So remove that here. Go on to on success, show that message and do here. Now, why it did not show that is once the record is submitted, I am immediately turning that my flag to false. So it always come onto else block. But once the record is submitted successfully, that is when we need to convert the flag value. When after I show this notification message to user stating that updated successfully, and then only I should update my flag. Now say 5, submit. See this? So this is a very, very, very important property on this on the farm. Now you got it? How to use the very same form in all three modes, isn't it? We have implemented the same form as the new form, edit form, and the view form and the edit. Sorry, new, edit, and view. All the three modes, right? I am very repeating, I'm very much repeating the same concept because all your screens should follow this methodology. I do not want you to implement 30 screens by stating that sir this is to you view sir, this is to new sir, this is to edit sir. No, I'm not interested to see three screens. One screen should help with all three operations. Clear? Now Now that we know how to use farm wisely on the screen, let's go ahead and learn the other important control, gallery with flexible height. Okay. Yesterday we have added gallery with flexible height, but we did not complete. Okay, let's go ahead and add a blank screen altogether and add the gallery with flexible height. Anybody want a refresh on gallery yesterday in what we discussed yesterday? Today we will discuss only the flexible height gallery. We are not going to discuss about the vertical height, vertical gallery and horizontal gallery also. Anybody want a revision of that topic? Okay, let's again discuss one more time about the horizontal gallery quickly. So we have two type of horizontal galleries. One is a horizontal gallery and the second one is blank horizontal gallery. Both are same. Only the thing is we need to change the layout. Okay. When you click on horizontal gallery, you will get with some default controls in it. But when you want to say that very same gallery as a blank horizontal gallery, go to the layouts and change it to the blank. So the same gallery will turn out to the blank horizontal gallery. That's all. So there is no great difference. Okay. So let's go back to the default layout which we get when we add the gallery to the screen, which is title and subtitle with a image in it. Remember, most of the times when do we use this horizontal gallery is when we want to show the you know list of objects as a inventory. Example, I'm implementing a classic example. Our friend Mr. One of our friend is implementing the car rental, right? So at that time, when I want to show the photos of the selected car before user choose that car, if I want to show photos of that car, the classic way to show that car is horizontal gallery, so that user can navigate with all the various photos. Could be exterior photos, or it could be seats, interior photos, everything on all the other options, like what is the status of the engine, and when they open the bonnet, what is the situation, if there are any scratches. So usually when we are taking a car rental, they will upload all the previous rental related photos. Example, last rental was a bad rental and the driver hit the car to a wall or to a tree, and there are some dents on the car, but unfortunately those dents were not addressed, but the car is very good condition to drive. So the rental agency decided to give it for the next rental. So that time what they have to do, they have to upload all those photos of the uh, damaged areas of the car as a precondition of the car, isn't it? So that time what we have to do, we have to show all the precondition of the car as series of images. As I was keep saying, series of images. So we need to feed this gallery with a library or a list with a image in that. Okay. Okay, for this horizontal gallery, I wanted to show a series of photos which are part of one event. So I have added my document library with the name event pictures to this app. Okay, now let me associate the document library to this gallery. Now select that event pictures as the input, and notice that it automatically changed my name, item modified value to that. Now what I need to change this is, I need to change the image or image property with appropriate value from the document library. What is the document library image property? Is a name and the URL. Let's see what property I need to change. This item dot, I need to provide the full path of the image so that it comes. Okay, here what I am doing is I am setting my image property as this item dot thumbnail dot large. The reason behind that is this is rendering from a document library from SharePoint. When we are rendering the images from document library of a SharePoint list, we will get a property called this item that this is an image library. I have uploaded multiple images to my gallery, my document library. Under that, what I did, this item dot thumbnail, and I want how I want. I can also say thumbnail as large, medium, and small. If I say medium, the same image will render in a small in size. If I just say large, it will render in a little bigger size. Now if I play this app, notice that my images are arranged in horizontal way. Yes or no? Now if I just say the very same gallery width, I compress to 1, and now I just say this to modified, or this item dot title. I don't have a title. This item dot name. Yeah, there it is. So whatever the name of this image, I see that now. Now if I just say the very same thing, I'm just showing only one image. Focus the person who is working on the car rental. This is what exactly what we are going to show. But despite the scroller, I don't want the scroller. I want a navigation. Okay, so now when you see this show navigation, tilt that on. Now see what happened. I don't see the uh, I don't I see both navigation as well as the scroller. Now if you see here, I can navigate that image gallery in such a way that okay, this is one, these are all the various photos. and it also clearly shows what is the name of that image. Now if the rental agency uploaded, assume that this is one of the car and they uploaded the image as the dent on the bonnet, so it will say like dent on the bonnet, and again there is a scratch on the tailgate, and there is a scratch on the front bumper. Okay, like that way I can show my gallery, horizontal gallery, with all the images. If I do not want the scroller, show scroller option, I can turn off. When I turn off the show scroller, notice I do not see the scroller here. All I see is only the navigation option. Horizontal gallery 99.9% used for showing images in a horizontal way, or inventory with the update, or inventory with the description. Imagine that if I have a real estate and I have series of apartments ready for sale. So what we need to do, we need to show the each and every room of that apartment, say that this is master bed, this is the living area, this is the kitchen, blah 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 blah, right? So that time what we need to do, we need to show those images so that user can navigate. When user select one particular apartment in that tower or in that community, they should be able to navigate through all the images of that particular selected or selected apartment, isn't it? Selected unit. Again, you can just adjust with the height, all the other things. Now it will be more decent. Now see this. This is how we will make use of horizontal gallery in Canvas apps. Any questions? Now that we know how to implement vertical gallery, horizontal gallery, let's discuss how to implement flexible height gallery. Focus on this gallery because this is the gallery I expect you, all of you, to implement in your app. I do not want you to use the regular vertical gallery because it has its own issues. I'll show you what is the issue with the vertical height gallery. Vertical gallery, I mean to say. Now, Now let's go ahead and add the flexible height gallery as, say, gallery, and select flexible height gallery. Same old concept. When you add a flexible height gallery, you will get with the default layout on the screen. If you want to change the default layout, you can always change the layout with this layout option. Now I'm selecting the 2 lakhs plus records SharePoint list as the input source for that. Now I'm changing this as the newsfeed example so that I will have this row orientation. Now I don't have a image, so I'm just turning it off. When you okay, rather than turning that, let's change it to blank and start adding the controls on the screen. Now let's add a label and say this label with ID of my row, and just say this here, and center align, and another label. This time I will say full name, another label with email in it, so on and so forth. You can add. And another very important property for gallery is whatever I selected is called the template size, which is right here. Notice when I change the template height, what happens? See that? The row height will change with respect to the template height. Notice this property. This is the property we are going to play with now. Now, when I change the template height, when I change the template value, template size value, the row height is increasing automatically. See the 75. Did you notice that? The very same box is going up and down. Now, here the controls are little down in fashion. So let me change the Y position of this controls to 2 pixels so that they come all the way, say 5 pixel probably. So I have some gap on the top of the row. Now, when I just change that, see the template size, it is up, changing. Okay. Also, the row height of the row height of the gallery is also changing. Now, let us see the difference between the flexible height gallery and a regular vertical gallery. Okay. The last time when we discussed about a regular gallery, and if I start changing the value of my username, concatenating the same name again and again, it is floating onto the next row, wasn't it? That was the issue we noticed in the last class. Now in this class, let's do the same thing and see what happens. Let's do the very same thing. No change on that. I'm turning the auto height of this label, and also I'm concatenating the variable. The same variable I'm concatenating multiple times. But notice the behavior of this gallery. This gallery is also floating. There is no difference on that. But, but I can tweak my gallery in such a way that change the template size with respect to the max row, max height of the label in that row. How could I do that is in the template size property, I could say max, or sorry, this is what is this label? Okay. What is the name of this label? Label 12. Rather, label full name. This label height is going to be my template size. Now I'll go here and I'll say dot height. Now notice what happened. It automatically changed my height of the row, wasn't it? It automatically changed the height of the row. Now to show that very clearly, let's add one rectangle here with the, now here to a rectangle, I wanted to stretch the rectangle to the entire gallery width. So there is another property or a function which says that parent dot width. When I say parent dot width, who is the parent of this rectangle? The rectangle is inside the gallery. So gallery is the parent. If the gallery width is not the same as the screen width, the gallery width will come down. Automatically, this rectangle width also come down. Let me change the height of this rectangle to 1 pixel so that it will come automatically to end. Now the position is 0. Now notice that the row separation. And now the next thing is in the gallery we have added the rectangle, but the rectangle should come where? The rectangle should not come on top of the row, it should come at the end of the row, isn't it? So the Y position of this rectangle should be where? It should be the max label height. For now, my label, I know the max it could go is the label full name. Now I'll say LBL full name dot Y plus LBL full name dot height what happens immediately? The very same thing will come at the end. But the problem here is the LBL first name is having this value along with that Y position, and I'm adding the height, wasn't it? So now rather than doing that label height also into that, we need to say simply as LBL label height as my Y position for this. Now see how it is rendering. It's coming right after my record, wasn't it? Whatever the height of my label, that is what I wanted to use that. Now, since this label full name is overlapping, now I'll reduce the Y position of this to 5 pixel. So it comes appropriately, probably 2 pixels. So now see this. Now let's go ahead and add the same value one more time and see how it will behave. Notice the height of this row. It is automatically increasing, wasn't it? Is it not increasing? Now to show that particularly very clearly on the same property, let me do one other step. I want this concatenation to happen only if the ID of this record is this item dot ID equal to 5759 or 5761 or double piping is R, or you can also mention as ORR. Both are same. Double pipe is R, double ampersand is and. Term dot 65 5765. Now see what happens. If not, now if you play the app, it automatically shows that. Now since we have this positioning of these labels incorrectly, label has the position as 5, sorry 10. Now if you play the app, see that. But notice this email address is rendering properly, but this email address is what happened, it it overlapped to the next row. And here also this email address is properly rendering because I have enough room on that row. If I want my template to render appropriately, the template height to be rendered appropriately, what I need to do now is I need to say gallery template size is not only the label, I have to say max of label full name dot height or label, this is email, LBL email. Now this one I'll say LBL email dot height. Now see the beauty. When I play the app, whichever is the height, whichever the label height is more, that label height will be taken into consideration. However, when I come here, close this, here this is the LBL full name and this is email LBL email, and the this one is this label. Okay, row rectangle also has to be the same way. One second. Rectangle Y position is also the same, right? Now render this. There it is. Any questions? I just played with the formulas. I'll explain the formulas one more time. First thing, gallery template size need to be set as the max of my labels. If I have 8 labels, which I'm anticipating that could go high value, example, email, address, description of the car, and also description of the issues with the car. So description of the issues may go beyond the regular description of the car. Example, I selected a I have selected Mercedes and also BMW and also the Hyundai. Three type of cars I have selected. When I selected three companies, it renders all the cars in the inventory with those companies. When it render, what happens? It has to show the name, description, and all the known issues. Example, for a Hyundai Sonata, the rental agency had given a long description, but whereas BMW, they have not given enough description, but they have a large number of known issues, which means one car has description as the long text, another car has the issues as the long text. Those are the two labels I'm anticipating could render with a maximum amount of the text, and both the labels are enabled with the auto height as true. When I have auto height as true, what happens is the label will get rendered automatically with respect to the content we are associating on the label. If the content is low content, the height will be normal. If the content on the label is too much, the height will automatically increase because we enabled the label height as auto height to true. Any question on that? Fine. Now I'm rendering the label with auto height true. On the other hand, I should also change my template size because the template size is the row height. The template size, whatever you set to the gallery, is the row height of the gallery. However, the template size is not static to all the rows. It changes as per that particular record. That is the beauty with the flexible height gallery. You could come back and ask me that, hey boss, why not I can set the same value to my regular height gallery, vertical gallery also I could do the same thing. But remember, vertical gallery, when you set the template size, that size will get associated to all the rows in the gallery. It doesn't behave as per the row. What happens if I have a large number of issues on one car, which is giving me a height as 200 pixel? Every row on the gallery will come with the 200 pixel with a large white space at the bottom, which looks very bad. But if you implement the same with the flexible height gallery, what it does is it renders the row appropriately as per the value in that record. Once you set the template size, the next element is if you want to separate the gallery rows with a line in it. When you change the gallery layout to blank, you will have to add each and every control on the gallery. This example, we created a gallery as a blank gallery, which means I will not get any control on the gallery. So I have added the labels for my content, and also I have added a quick rectangle with a height as 1 pixel to separate each and every record on the gallery. Now that rectangle has to come right at the end of my record. So I have to say what is my Y position of that rectangle in the row. To mention that, what I need to do is I need to know what is the maximum height of a label in my record. In my record, am anticipating 3 labels, 4 labels, or 8 labels could go beyond my control. Example, I have description, known issues, previous driving history, or any other field which I am anticipating could go with a larger text. So all those have to be part of this formula. What max is going to give me is max of label 1 dot height, label 2 dot height, label 3 dot height, label 4 dot height is gonna give me the maximum height out of 100 labels. What label has the maximum height value will be returned. Plus 5 is only a grace for my template to have additional space at the end of the row. I do not want my template to follow the same height so that the next record will be very close to my first record or very close to my second record. So I'm adding a buffer of 5 pixel to increase my template size. Right now, once that is done, what is my next element to be addressed is my rectangle. My rectangle should come right at the height of my template. If my template size is 100, the rectangle should come at the 100th pixel or 100th position of my template size, right? Because I want to separate my records with a line in between. So what, I have used the same formula here. And also for our demonstration purpose, I have added one if condition to show that the row height changes dynamically. I did add if condition that if id is 5759 5761 5765, add the full name to multiple times so that the row height will change dynamically. For the other rows, the first name will come only one time. This is only for the demonstration. Do not have to do this. Clear? This is all about flexible height gallery. Fine. We have learned about vertical gallery, horizontal gallery, flexible height gallery. Remember, to horizontal gallery, most of the times we do not specify the heading, what it is, because it is going to be a image with the name of the image or the title of the image or the description of the image will be rendered beneath the image. But in this case, as when we are adding vertical or a flexible height gallery, we have to say what column is representing what, isn't it? If not, user will never know what column is what. So it should always have a gallery with heading. Now there are two ways to create the heading for the gallery. One, I can create multiple labels for each and every column. Two, I can create a gallery with one label in it and spread across. Okay. Most of the times users will create one multiple labels, but it is a bad practice. Another way is gallery with the label in it. The challenge with that is You do not have a control to say column 3 has a additional width, column 1 is id. I do not want that much width as my description width. I want the smaller width. I cannot control the width of a control within a gallery. When you are adding a control in gallery, the width will be common if it is one control. Okay, another very important property for gallery is I added a vertical gallery intentionally. I'm adding it as a blank and height to this. I'm adding heading as gallery, and I'll show you what I mean the issue is. Click on this. Now add a data source. No, the data source is a collection or a table. Say like id and full name followed by email. Now I need to add a label in that. Notice that it is coming one after other because it's a vertical gallery. But if I want everything in the horizontal way, there is another property called wrap count. There is another property called wrap count. See the beauty, what happens. If I say the wrap count to 3, the same thing, see this? Did you notice that the very same label rendered in such a way that in a horizontal way? Because I'm wrapping my controls into one row. When you create a vertical height, a vertical gallery, the row orientation is one after other in a column fashion. But I know what I am going to render in this gallery. I want to wrap my controls into 3 or 4 or 5. When I say that, usually when we are creating headings to a gallery, this is how we do. Now, just decrease the width of the gallery. But again, what is the challenge? I do not have a control on my gallery labels inside that. Now, if I see the width of that label will be distributed equally. Each and every label will have the same width. When I say wrap, it will wrap the controls into one row, but the width of that control will be equally distributed. Clear? If I say the width as here, I come to width and say probably 45. The same width get applied to each and every control on the gallery. Notice that the full name got shrunk or it squeezed, right? So be wise when you are creating the heading. Heading can be created with gallery, but the challenge is this. But heading can also be created with multiple labels. Challenge is we are adding too many controls on the gallery. Then what is the best practice? Best practice is implement the gallery heading with one label with add the spaces in that. Okay, or implement a gallery with a responsive container and add the controls in that. But responsive containers we will learn later. That time we will learn about that. For now, I'm not interested to dump my screen with n number of controls. Rather, I will add only one label as my heading for this gallery, and I'll say id You see that? I'm getting my heading properly. Now I'll just play the app. There it is. Now my one label control is helping me with all the headings for my gallery, isn't it? Now reduce the width, sorry, font of this gallery to 18 and just play with the positioning of this heading. Okay, that is the good practice when you are creating a gallery heading. Okay, again app dot width. Play that. That's all. And you can always, play with the background for this heading and also the color of this heading. Sorry, I'm horrible in color codes, so do not follow my color codes. Okay, this is how we will create heading for my gallery. Any questions? The question is, when I add an image on my screen, when I add image on the screen, I want to perform on select or I want to perform navigate. When I click on the image, I want to navigate or I wanted to show some notification. I want to perform some operation. So in order to do that, let's add image control. There it is. I have an image control. Here, I'm adding image control. Here, I'm going to say user dot image. I got my profile picture there, right? For ease of understanding, I'm just changing it. Just select fill, it comes that. Now, the beauty when we are managing an image, I just say like 394, say 400 by 400. It comes exact square. Now I can convert the very same square to a circle. See this. There is something called border radius. Say border radius to 50. You see the borders on the on that image, very same image. If I say the border radius to 100, because my width and height of the image is 400, I mentioned 400 as a border radius. Follow that. If I say my width and height of the gallery, sorry, image is 100 pixel, I need to say the border radius also 100, which makes sense. Whether you make it 400 or 1000, that's the maximum it can radius. It can decrease the radius, right? Now 400 by 400 followed by 400. You can play with the border radius to make your gallery as beautiful as you want. Now, what is the requirement? When user click on this image, I want to show a notification or I want to navigate a user. Here I have on select property, which exactly behaves as on button on select property. No change on that. You guys are able to see the back rows. So now what I need to do, I can write a navigate, or I can also show a notify. There is no difference on that. There is no difference when it is a image or a simple button. You see that? I'm able to perform the on select behavior to navigate the image, sorry, the user from one screen to another screen. But the caveat here is when I'm coming onto the image, user doesn't know whether it is a clickable or not. Is that image clickable or not? User do not understand, isn't it? So usually on a screen, if a control is clickable, expectation is to see a hand icon. Similarly, what we see when we add a button here. Now, if you have a button and just come over here, it shows a hand icon, which clearly says that, hey, you can perform some operation by clicking on this. But for an image, the mouse icon is still standing the same. Let's cheat the system. Add the button on top of this image, say the same quadrants. Now, img user, when you change the name, the image went little back, get the image forward. What happened? There it is. Now get the button forward. Now what I need to do, the image control got its name. Whatever the dimension, whatever the x position we have on the image have to have the same, right? Now let's say the image, this dot x, this dot y. I want this button to be on the same location. This dot width and this dot height. Oh, my bad. Image user. What is the name of this control? Dot height. Now that button overlap the image, but I don't want to see the button. I want to see the image with a hand icon on that. How could I do that? Just first remove the text. I don't want the text. Even button has the same property called border radius. Say 400 to that. Oh, sorry, my bad. 100. But when you change this, oh, bad, my bad. When you change the border radius to 400, that will also turn to a circle. But before, why it did not happen is when I click on this, it took me to radius top left. It is not the overall radius. It has four corners, right? A button has four corners: left, right, top right, top bottom. Say top right, bottom right, top left, bottom left, right. The four corners of a button. So when I click this, it by default took me to top left. So what? This area only shrinking. But when I change the border radius, it automatically changes everything. How could I know that? Is when I come on to advanced properties, radius. See that there are four properties: top right, top left, bottom left. Now I have added a wrapper on top of the image. Now I don't want to see the button. I want to see only the image. Now the next step is button has that property as a fill color, right? This is the fill color I have. Just remove that. But all the colors just remove. Make this text color to transparent. Every property, whether it is a disabled or a pressed, I don't care. Anytime I want it as a transparent button, right? Now see what happens when we change everything. Now a fill also has to be transparent. There it is. The button became complete transparent. Now what happens? See what happens now. Now if I go here, I can see a hand icon on my image. Now when I click on this, it doesn't perform because on select I have implemented on the image that needs to be associated with this button also. Now club these two, select both these controls by holding control, right click and say group. Group grp user profile pic. Now on top of this group, I wanted to perform the operations. What is that? On select. When I click on this group, I want to perform an operation. What is that operation I wanted to perform? Notify, navigate, write whatever you want, right? Whatever you want, because this works as similar as button on click property, on select property. Performing operation on a group, and it is an information. Here it is. Now if I click the play and click on that, see that? Notice that when I click, what happens? It is coming with the white color, which means my button on fill is not transparent. My button on press is still not transparent. Now go back to the and button and on press, all the fill colors have to be pressed color. See, this pressed color is self color. I don't want that. I want a transparent color, and this fill also to be transparent, and this color is blank, transparent. This is transparent. This is transparent. Everything, every color on that button is transparent. Now go and click. I don't see any difference because now I have addressed the fill color, pressed fill color also resolved. Now it is showing me the notification as and when I click on the user profile picture. The next question from Sario is, what if I want a larger screen? I want a screen to be as large as I want, and I want to place many controls. If you see, the blank screen has a has a fixed height. If I want to add one more gallery on this screen, I cannot add because I don't have room here. But there is another screen in our template which is called scrollable screen. Use this screen. Use this screen. This screen will give you the flexibility to add any number of controls. This comes with sections. Add n number of sections. Each and every section can hold one set of controls. Now if you play this app, automatically you will see the screen scroller. Each and every section you can add a number of controls and you can play with those sections. Say that if I click on a button in section 1, section 2, section 3 should go off, you can go off. Because if you see this screen, each and everything is a data card. Button, I create a button in screen, on select, update context, alware, hide sections. Now hide sections. Now, once I click on that, I wanted to hide some sections. Now, say this is the top section. I can reduce the height, and the beauty is the second section automatically get adjust onto that. Now, let's add some controls in that. again in this section, add some controls in that. Now, when user click on the button, I do not want to see these two sections. Focus on that. What is this data card? This is one data card, and this is another data card. Select these two data cards. Control and select those data cards. After that, click on the visible property. Now say lvar hide sections. Now see this. What happens? Default. What is the variable value? False. So what? It didn't come. So in fact, the button should say so show sections. Now if I click on that, it's going off. And look at the beauty. The scroller is also off. What does that mean? Once user click on that button, it is hiding the sections and also adjusting the height of that control, right? Adjusting the height of my screen, right? So this is called a canvas. Canvas will come with the data cards, and the data cards height will automatically get adjusted depends on the controls in the screen. So this is how I can control my screen height, and I can add any number of controls on my screen. Was that answer your question, sir? You? The next question is, how could I restrict user to enter a specific length when I create my text box as a password for password? Okay. Now this is my text box. I have added on my screen. The first step is, what is the mode of my control? It is a password. When you change that, the text will come in dots. Step 1 is done. What is my next step? I want to restrict user to enter a specific length. This is the property. Length, maximum length is 8 characters. Okay. Now if I play the app and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ninth one will not go further any. This is the property of a text box, not for a password. Now see this. When I change it to a single line of text, maximum, doesn't matter how much, how hard you try, it will not go further. Okay, that is how you could restrict the length of the password. Next question. Next question. If user want to see the password by clicking on a particular icon, and also hide the password when they click on the same icon. Now see this. Under icons, probably we should have a eye icon here. Now I think I just changed the behavior of this to password. Again, password, I changed it back to password. And now I can add a icon. Say that probably example this. Okay, you can always download a eye icon. Okay. Now this one, on press on click, I wanted to convert show the password, and on click I want to hide the password, right? Now this has the property called what? Mode, right? End of the day, it is a property, right? Now if lvar show pwd, then the mode is 1, one type of a mode. If not, it is a different mode, single line. If not that, now this one I will just update context. See that now. This one we will change accordingly. Now this icon, if of this, if not, icon dot cancel. Got it?